Hello, families of CISD first through fourth grade learners. My name is Dina Dinas. I am the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning in the Coppell Independent School District, and I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about how we're going to handle gifted and talented assessment for the 2020-2021 school year. First, I want to assure you that the Texas State Plan for the Education of Gifted and Talented Students continues to guide all of the decisions that we are making in the Coppell ISD in regards to the services we provide as well as the assessment moving forward. But this year, more than ever, equity is a concern as the new guidance, not found in the state plan, but available on the TEA website, says that we cannot require in-person testing for our learners. And clearly at this point, we have learners in both our remote and face-to-face environments. That provides an opportunity for us to be flexible and creative in how we go about meeting the requirements of the state plan. We continue to need to utilize at least 3 measures to identify a learner for gifted services. The quantitative measures, where we might have traditionally used an assessment administered in the classroom, we can no longer use as our options are very limited. And as I said before, we have 2 different learning environments happening. So for this year, the district is going to utilize the digital assessment tools that we already have that are collecting quantitative data on our learners. Those tools are the same for remote and face-to-face learners, and they give us multiple data points in multiple content areas. And so that will be our quantitative data source for this school year. In terms of qualitative measures, there are standardized teacher rating scales, and we will utilize those to collect qualitative data for identification. Classroom educators have those tools already, and they've been trained by our campus GTI facilitators. And those completed scales are due back in mid-January, as we've spent a lot of the fall getting to know our learners, particularly those that are in the remote environment, and interaction is different, but I won't say limited in that format. If we require some additional qualitative measures, our GTI specialists may end up conducting some interviews as needed. Sometimes those rating scales are inconclusive. As we have done every year and as continues to be our practice, all the gathered assessment information, both those qualitative and quantitative data points, will be reviewed by the Campus Gifted and Talented Committee. Those that serve on that committee have completed their 30 hours of GT training as required by the state and maintain that training with a 6-hour update yearly. Based on the collected data, those members will determine whether a learner is demonstrating the need for GT services. That decision is never made by just one person. On occasion, the GTC looks at the data that we've collected and finds it inconclusive and asks us to gather additional information on learners. If that is the case with your learner, you'll be notified on an individual basis. All other eligibility notifications will occur on or before March 1st, 2021. So let me say this clearly. If your learner is found to require GT services, you will be notified. If the GTC determines that at this time your learner isn't demonstrating a need, you will receive no notification from us. That is a little bit of a change in practice for this school year, but those that are eligible will receive notification on or before March 1st. Our GT service model in the Coppell Independent School District is really based on learners' needs, and it is not exclusive just to learners who have been identified GT. It's a fluid model, which means that any learner that demonstrates mastery of content receives some form of differentiation led by their classroom educator with the support of the campus GT specialist. So classroom instruction with the GT specialist and the classroom educator co-planning, there are embedded differentiation strategies in the lessons that our learners are receiving. If your learner is at home, there is an extension folder that is released to learners who demonstrate mastery. We've set that up through Schoology this year. Classroom differentiation can occur in both push in and pull out settings where the GT specialist, if your learner is here, may be pushing into the classroom or maybe pulling out learners to provide some more intense service. And learners can be invited to Zooms that our GT specialists are holding with grade levels and identified learners in both settings. Moving forward, 2021 and beyond, we will continue to have a assessment and identification process that's ongoing anytime a need arises. So what that really means is that anytime a classroom educator or a counselor says to us, hey, this learner may need to be assessed, that triggers an assessment for us. That will be ongoing in future years and is still part of our process now as we're looking at all learners in first through fourth grade. And every year, our assessment practices are updated and communicated to you. It's a lot of information and there's a lot going on. We've had some unique challenges, obviously, this year. So please feel free if you've got questions to contact me. Again, my name is Dina Dinas. I'm the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, and you can find me at ddinas@coppellisd.com.